Hello everyone, Alan Thrall here at Untamed Strength Gym in Sacramento, California. This is, I believe, training vlog number 5 for California's Strongest Man 2025 prep. You're going to see day 1 and day 2 of my, basically of the strongman program that's available down below. It's a 5-day strongman program. If you wanted to do strongman, follow it all the way through. If you do not want to do strongman, you could do day 1, 2, and 3 and treat it just like a strength program. Scrap day 4 and 5. So for anyone wondering what I had for breakfast this morning, I had these oatmeal, egg, banana, pancake things. Just eggs, oatmeal, banana, a little bit of vanilla and cinnamon, mashed all together, cook it like a pancake. I think that I needed more oatmeal because they were a little flat and eggy, but I just pretty much ate what I was gonna have for breakfast and made it into a pancake. Doing some approach jumps because I don't think I can get all those stairs today from a dead stop, but I guess we can try. See if I got it in me. Nope. So it's been a couple weeks since I posted a training update, California's Strongest Man 2025 prep. Training's been going great, pretty good, no real hiccups. There has been one setback that I'll mention. I've been having this issue with my bicep. Never had a bicep issue before, never had a bicep injury, but it's just this pain right in the middle of my bicep. And a lot of the events are bicep heavy. Axle clean and press. This is my underhand, truck pull, pulling the rope, Atlas stones especially, sandbag picks and carries, and then even to some extent when I throw a keg overhead. So it's all the events. So I've been not doing any arms, very, very light stuff just to warm my bicep up. Not a lot of rowing for a few weeks, a couple of weeks. I've just kind of put that on the back burner, and not really on the back burner, I've turned the burner off. Just to let it chill out. It's not at the elbow tendon, it's not up in the shoulder, it's right in the middle. So before you run to the comment section to let me know exactly what it is, I already know what it is, I Googled it, and my humerus is broken. So this is a clean complex that I've made up myself, and let's talk a little bit about it. So I've been doing a paused power clean, pause just below the knee, followed by a paused full clean, catching it all the way down the bottom, front squat, followed by a clean. Now the reason for this is I've really been trying to up my power clean, catching it a little bit higher. So I'm pulling it higher. And in theory, this progression gets easier. A paused power clean is more difficult than a paused clean at the same weight. And then the easiest would be just a full clean with no pause. So I can really push the power clean, and then I just get more reps in after that. So that's the idea behind this. And the pause is really just to give me less room to work, less room to generate some force here from the knee and up. I'm also going to be doing axle clean and press at California's Strongest Man, which might be done from tires, maybe, maybe not. If it's from tires, it's going to be elevated, so it's going to be below the knee to start. So I'm just kind of mimicking that with a pause. I'm also using the blocks for that reason. It just props the bar up a little higher. But the main reason I use this is when I drop the weight, even though there's bumpers, it still bounces all over the place. These crash pads, it just kind of settles in place, so I don't have to move around too much. I can just drop it, pick it up for the next rep. Okay, so what I've been doing for this complex, for my cleans, I'll load the bar with plates I'm not used to. Like sometimes I'll use kilos and pounds. A couple weeks ago, I did a mixture of 25s and 15s and 10s and 35s. And so I didn't know what was on the bar. I don't clearly see 245s, that's 225. And then I just calculate the weight when I'm done. And I was pleasantly surprised when I first did this. I was kind of estimating in my head without trying to. I was like, oh, this is probably like 250, feels like 250, 255. Ended up being 265, 120 kilos, which was better than I had hoped. So it's nice. I see that, or I notice that sometimes I will, as I'm warming up, I might not try very hard because I know it's just a warm up. So 225 is a good number for me. Like when I get to 225 and I don't pull it that hard because I know this is not my top weight, and then it gets to be like ugly and kind of slower, and I'm like, oof. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna try, not know what weight is on the bar, and just try my best. So I'm using 65-pound bumpers here, so I don't know the math right off the top of my head. And as I'm warming up, every time I start to compute the numbers in my head, I just distract myself to try not to. However, with that said, this last set, as soon as I slap the 10s on, boom, the weight flashed before my eyes. Pretty sure I'm right. It's a 65, a 35, and a 10. And when I slapped the 10 on the 35, I thought, I'm making a 45. And then I immediately pictured a 45 and two 10s. So 245s, two 10s. If you're fast with math, that's 265. And I thought, well, this is what I did last time. So I chipped it, put half kilos on each side. So 1 kilo, 2 pounds. So it's about 267, if I'm correct. I've put on Instagram before, like my power clean, and I've got comments that say like, definitely not a power clean. That's not a power clean. If you're wondering, that's not power. And the way I differentiate power and full for me is just comparing my catch position. When I do a full clean, I bottom out. My hamstrings, my glutes are almost touching my ankles, my calves. I bottom out when I catch that thing. So if I catch it above that, like honestly, like my thighs above 90, I'm gonna call it a power. So if I'm like drastically feel a difference in my catch position, I'm calling it a power clean. Don't get pinned under the first rep, Alan. Don't get pinned under the first rep, Alan. All right, so after front squats, I had planned on doing push press, but as soon as I did that first clean, had my elbows down a little more, brought it back down, my collarbone just cannot handle it. I broke my collarbone in high school playing football, and it broke like this and it healed like that. So it's just a big ball of bone. And it, when I do cleans and front squats, it just gets huge and swollen. It'll cool down after a day or two, but anyways, it's just, it felt like that. What, that was 175 pounds, I think, was just resting on my bone. And it's just way too distracting. So I gotta get going anyways. So what I decided to do is just clean that up, move on, do some handstand push-ups against the wall. Good for shoulders, obviously, good for shoulder overload, and no setup required. So this morning for breakfast I had egg white scramble with some sauteed red bell pepper, onions, spinach, which I had prepared already from a pasta dish that I made for dinner. I just saved a little extra for the scramble. And I added some chicken sausage to it. And a couple of homemade muffins, high protein muffins. Made with cottage cheese and Greek yogurt and eggs. I want to elaborate a little bit on a video I recently made about how goals are overrated. I just want to continue with that conversation because I've been reflecting on it and I've really been enjoying training lately. And I kind of think about why I've enjoyed training so much lately. And when other people aren't enjoying training as much as me, it kind of sucks to hear. Like, I feel bad for them. I want them to get as much enjoyment and fulfillment out of training as I get. I really just think it does a lot to improve my mood, my confidence. It just leaks out into so many other things outside of the gym. And when I see people struggling in the gym, I just kind of want them to feel the same way. So I just want to share some thoughts. One perspective change that I've had recently, and when I really think about it, why have I enjoyed training so much lately? And I think it's because I don't necessarily view training anymore as a test or really specific practice. So maybe in the past I was powerlifting, and so I wanted my squat, bench, deadlift, 1 rep max to improve. And so I would go to the gym, I'd squat, bench, deadlift, try to improve my 1 rep max. Even strongman, there were times when I got burnt out on strongman. If you look at, like, the amount of events I did in a 5-10 year period versus the last few years, it's just spread out. It's a lot thinner lately. And the reason is I would do a strongman competition. I would have these 5 events, and I would just drill the hell out of these 5 events. And so I was just constantly trying to improve these 5 events. And I'd get a little bit of burnout by doing that. How I view training now is I just think about improving physical abilities, improving physical characteristics that are gonna either just make me a better athlete or healthier in general, or specifically because I'm training for an event, improving physical qualities that are gonna make me a better strongman competitor. That means I can work on strength, I can work on power, speed, explosiveness, conditioning, long, slow conditioning, high intensity conditioning. I can work on agility. I can improve all those physical qualities I mentioned. And so there are times when I finish a training session, I'm like, today I did a good job of getting stronger. Today I did a good job of producing power, of conditioning, whatever it is. And then I just view the strongman competition as game day, just to see, okay, I've done all these things to make me a better overall strongman competitor. Let's see how I do when I go out on the field of game day at this strongman competition. Now, also, I should mention that I do want to, there are some times where I'm just practicing skills of the strongman events. So I definitely have to put in some skills. But I'm not testing myself, and I'm not doing like super specific practice all the time. I think that a couple people who do this really well, I've mentioned in the last few videos a bunch. Will Rattel, I watch all of his videos. He does a good job of this, just trying to improve himself as a non-competitive athlete. And then Alec Onkiri also does a great job of this. So those are some channels that I draw inspiration from, and kind of subconsciously have like adopted at least what I perceive as their training approach. And it's just really, really enjoyable. There's just so much stuff to do in the gym, and it's not that I'm scatterbrained when I get to the gym. I still do things that I think are productive, still do things that I want to do, still do things that are worthwhile. But it just feels good to go into a session and say, today I'm going to work a little more on hypertrophy, today I'm going to work a little more on strength, a little more on power, a little more on speed, a little more on conditioning. And I can bring all of those qualities up and then go test myself, in a strongman competition. And something else with that, let me get back over here. Training can go in seasons. You don't always need to be, working on improving maximum strength year round. So right now, like during the winter months, my running has been a little bit less. And I know that as it starts warming up, as the days become longer, it gets brighter earlier in the day, the sun's out later on in the evening, I know that I'm going to be running a lot more. So I'll focus more on running once the spring and summertime rolls around. Maybe shift my focus on lifting, whatever it is. And this season, I'm prepping for a strongman competition. Once that season's over, I'll move on and I'll do something else. So winter times, you might hunker down and focus more on strength, conditioning, bulking, cutting, whatever it is. So you can take this stuff seasonally. Don't feel like you always have to improve the exact same physical quality year round, day after day, month after month.